What is going on, everybody? This is Codicius here, and I'm bringing you another video today on DomiNations. The topic of today is going to be generals, coalitions, and all around just war. First thing we're going to do today, after I'm done collecting here, is we're going to go ahead and jump into the castle. And I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about generals and the different types of generals and how best to use them. First up, we're going to go in with Alexander. Like I said, there are actually three types of generals, and I think it's very overlooked and people don't realize it. But the first kind of general that you have is the tank. Now, they're obviously all tanks, but you have superior tanks. The first being Alexander and Joan of Arc, in my opinion, are the best tanks. They're the best way to play these two is to put them at the forefront and let them play just as, as tanks. Let them do what their role is. Let them squish the damage. Beyond that, I mean, so they have a lot of life, but their DPS and things isn't exactly that good. Second up is you have your counter generals, really, and that would be Nobunaga and Napoleon. And in my opinion, I think that those two are the best. The best way to play them in their roles is to, if you can't sabotage the castle, you can't shut it down, and there's no choice, but the generals are going to spawn, then it's best to play Nobunaga and Napoleon on top of those generals, ready to fight and ready to go. Because they're, like I said, they're best to counter. I mean, look at Nobunaga's damage per second, 476, and almost 3,000 a smack. I mean, that's incredible. And next up, in my opinion, is one of the most overlooked generals in the game, which is Cleopatra. Cleopatra's kind of a hybrid. And what I mean by that is she can tank. She's very tanky, as far as her health goes. It's respectable. But she's also got some damage under her belt. She's very utility, can be very clutch. I mean, for on defense or also on offense. So really, you just have to pick which generals best fit your playstyle and get them into play. Alright, so we'll go ahead and I'm going to take a look at the coalitions for you guys, let you know what I think of each coalition and which ones you should be using for the wars. First up, we have the coalition for the Aztecs. The Aztecs coalition gives us barracks troops attack damage plus 10%, and mercenary attack damage and health plus 10%. In my opinion, this is one of the best coalitions in the game right now. That can change with future meta changes and things and nerfs and buffs. But right now, everything coming out of the barracks is getting plus 10% damage, and everything coming out of the mercenary camp is getting plus 10% damage and health. That's incredible. We're going to take a look at the next one, the Egyptians. Egyptian defensive buildings attack damage, Egyptian defensive building health. Again, I consider this one of the other top 5 on my list of all the coalitions. Excuse me, I'm kind of congested, but plus 10% defensive building and attack damage. That's huge. I mean, that's your mortar, getting off, dealing hell of more damage, and then that extra 15% could be the deciding factor between does that ballista actually get to take out that tank, or does that tank take out that ballista? So that could be real clutch, especially in war, knowing that the objective is to protect your town hall and go as far as possible. You want everything to have as much health as possible. Next up is the Mongols. Mongols get 15% attack speed to their ballista and mortar troops, and 15% to tactic damage. In my opinion, the first half of this is wonderful. The second half, not so much, because from what I've seen in my experience, the barrage really isn't that effective, the arrow barrage, and I don't think it's really worth what you spend. And the dynamite is a one-trick pony. It's cool and all, it goes in, it takes out something, but then it's over. So that plus 15% to tactics damage really isn't as effective to me as it might be to others. But the plus 15% is pretty, to ballista and mortar troop attack speed is pretty gnarly, and I consider it worth, well, considering, but I wouldn't rank it among the top, though. Next up is the Maori. The Maori defender attack damage plus 10%. Maori defender health. This one is the one I've been using the majority of, and I consider it the best right now due to, where we're at and what ages are being played and things. But, I mean, think about it. That doesn't just say garrison troops or stables. It actually says defenders. So what that means is that's going to be what you had donated to you for war. That's going to be your generals. Everybody's going to get a plus 10% to their attack damage and their health, and that's huge. And like I said, the Maori, in my opinion, is right now the top of the class as far as coalitions go. Next up, the Cherokee. Cherokee is really good too, and in some people's opinions, it may actually be better than the Maori. It just doesn't really fit my playstyle. I don't really run the supply cart. Um, Barracks troop health, that's respectable, but like I said, since it doesn't really fit my playstyle, it's not as crucial to me to have this. Now, don't think I'm saying that this is less in any way, because it's definitely one of the top three in the game in my opinion. But to me, it's just not as valuable because I don't, like I said, I just don't use the supply cart. So really, all I'd be working off is a plus 10% health. But beyond that, if you use the supply cart in your composition, then that's great. You know, then this is probably one of the coalitions you should be going for. The next up, we have the Indians. Wall health plus 15% plus 30 health. This is one of the top three in my opinion, especially for war. I mean, your walls get plus 15%, so I think right now my walls are almost at 20,000 health. So they're roughly pulling in another 3,000 health, 3 to 4, and that's pretty damn good, I would say. And I mean, who doesn't want a plus 30% on the town center health? I mean, yeah, right now this is one of the top right now as well. Next up is the Americans. The Americans get plus 15% to their factory troop attack damage and plus 15% to airplane health. In my opinion, this coalition, as of right now where we're at, really isn't as effective as it could be, and that's only because there's only 2 ages that have planes, and the only age that really is benefiting hugely from this right now is the global age. The industrial age, yes, we have planes, but the limits are there, and they're very defining limits, so I don't really see this as effective as it could be. But it's definitely one to keep an eye out for later on as the meta changes and we keep growing through the ages. Russians, plus 1 to forest defenders, and plus 15% to air defense and attack damage. This is the same as the American one. Like I said, don't rule it out right now. I mean, for now, it's not as effective, but I wouldn't just, turn your back on this coalition. They both have potential as planes become more aggressive and planes, grow. Then these two coalitions may become more valuable, but right now, I just don't see them as effective. Next up, the next thing we're going to talk about is compositions for war. We all know that the biggest thing about war is obviously to get as many stars as you can. The town center is the priority. Now, do I think it's better to get a 4-star 100 than to push for the 5-star and get a 50%? Yes, much better. But really, it comes down to your composition. What are you taking into battle? I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I've been using, and I haven't not 5-starred in so long that I can't remember, because this I find it best that instead of constantly changing your composition, tinkering and things, because all tinkering really does is, mess with you, because like, oh, this didn't work that way, it'll work this way. But instead of tinkering with your composition, find a composition that has proven to work and build up on it. Like, for instance, my composition right now is 1 Gatling gun, 1 plane, 40 infantry, 31 rifles, 4 artillery, 2 tanks, and a wall miner. I need to upgrade my wall miner. He's not very impressive. I do have the Gatling gun in the works right now, though. So, the reason this composition is good is because the Wehrmacht. The Wehrmacht is the backbone of my army. He receives plus 15% because I am Germans, and he gets the Teutonic power. And secondly, comboing that with, I can put the tanks right in front of them and the cannons right behind them. It makes for a huge push, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of funny. I'm playing the Germans, and I play a very blitzkrieg style play, so it fits my play style. Again, others, it may not fit your play style. You just have to find a composition that has proven the test of time and has been working, and instead of constantly changing your composition and trying to find new styles to play, new troops to play, find a composition that works for you and build up on that. And that's what I've done here. This composition used to be 2 cannons, 2 horses, no wall miner, and just the infantry and the rifles. So find one that works for you and improve up on it. Secondly, let's look. Like right now, I'm in war, my alliance. But take a look at war. What are you donating to your fellow players? Are you putting rifles in there to defend the city, or are you actually taking your time and donating what should be donated? Like for instance, my alliance, the only thing that we donate is a very close war. The only thing that we donate actually is cannons or higher, and muskets are higher because they're behind walls, they're protected, so they get that defensive buff, and they have the range to shoot over the walls and through the walls and hit the target. So it seems very effective to be having those ranged units versus, I mean, why would you put infantry in your defenses? That doesn't make any sense, because we know as soon as they drop rifles or Gatling guns on the ground, or planes, whatever have you, that those men are obsolete and they're gonna get ran through. So it really comes down to, are you and your team communicating? Obviously, I mean, you look at us. The name of our alliance, by the way, is the Immortals. We are very active, constantly talking, very, very open to ideas, sharing. If you guys are interested in checking out our alliance, you're more than welcome. Just the Immortals, and there's a couple of us. Just look for the red banner with the white hand. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about, and then I'm going to go ahead and call it a day for this video, is the War Academy tactics. Which ones are you using? In my opinion, I can go through them real quick. We'll start off with Barrage. Great versus plentiful targets like soldiers. Won't significantly damage cavalry and building. In my opinion, Barrage is the worst tactics besides Betrayal in the game. The reason being is because you're going to spend, even just at level 2, 8,500 food to kill some troops that spawned out of a garrison. Well, you could just drop your rifles down intelligently and do the same thing. So I don't really see that as effective. Next up is First Aid. First Aid on paper sounds great, but whenever you actually look at it, it's really not that effective because it heals 3%. Well, if a soldier has 100 health, then that's only 3 health. So it's not very effective. Especially whenever the supply cart's a thing and it does the same thing, and as long as you protect your supply carts, then they can stay alive and you can keep using them, keep pushing. So First Aid, in my opinion, not very effective. Next up, Sabotage. Sabotage, in my opinion, is in the, it's top 2 for me. It's a toss-up, but it's definitely top 2 because a well-timed Sabotage can literally shut a base down. I mean, there's been times I've hit a redoubt, a ballista, a garrison, and a mortar and stables all in one. Another great thing about the Sabotage is, we're talking war and things. If you are actually intelligent with your Sabotage and you wait till the right time and you realize that the general's about to spawn, if you sabotage that castle and then you attack that castle with your tactical movement, those generals will not spawn, thus getting 2 to 3 tanks off the field. It's huge. It's huge value in the Sabotage, and I consider it top tier of all the war tactics. Next up, Protection, my other personal favorite. It's like the Hill, but in my opinion, it goes a lot further. I mean, because it lasts for 39 seconds, which is huge, because I run 2 of them, so then you're looking, at roughly a little over a minute and a half. That's huge. I mean, men are taking 50% damage reduction. That means the mortar that usually would kill my infantry, my Wehrmachts, in 2 or 3 hits, now it's taking 4, 5, 6 to get a couple of them down. Huge, and it's tier, it's clutch, it's wonderful, especially when you're in war. These things have carried me through multiple times, and it's literally for the Protect spell that I upgraded my War Academy to max in the Industrial Age. Next up, Demolition. Demolition, high damage to a single building, only affects 1 building, deals half damage to town centers, building time 35 minutes, damage 1584. That, again, it's just like Barrage. It sounds great on paper, but then whenever you actually look at it, what does Demolition do? It's a one-trick pony. It hits. You might take out a mortar, and then what? Now, I have seen some strategy where people are just getting 4, 5, 6 of these, and then finding bases with a lot of oil, and going and just dropping the dynamite on the oil factory. That seems pretty effective, except for you're using a lot of food. I mean, you think about it, at level 1, it's 17,000 food. I can't imagine what it's worth to these people who have went and upgraded it to level 6 or 7. Betrayal. Still your opponent's troops powerful when used on cavalry. Weaknesses: betrayers suffer damage and attack slower generals are immune. In my opinion, Betrayal is the worst in the game right now. Because the radius of 2 and only taking 2 people, you might get 2 tanks, but they have a damage reduction of 50%. And I don't know. It just doesn't seem very effective to me. If it grabbed 10 dudes, maybe, sure. Also, the fact that generals are immune, I get it. I guess that'd be a little OP, but then if you're not gonna allow us to claim generals with it, you should at least increase the trader amount, because I don't think anyone's playing this. And if you are, I'm sorry, you should be playing Sabotage. It's just much better. So, as a recap, in my opinion, from worst to best, I'm going to say worst is Betrayal, followed by Demolition, followed by Barrage, First Aid, and then it's tough here. It's a toss-up for first and second between Sabotage and Protect. It really comes down to your play style, but I believe they should be played together, as you can see, 3 and 2. Alright guys, well that about wraps up this video for now. If you have any questions or concerns or ideas for future videos, go ahead and comment in the comments below, and if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let me know what you guys think. Until next time, this is Codicius signing off. Take care.